WWE Smackdown review. And ladies and gentlemen, I am here. And I gotta tell you, it must be because it's the shows after a big pay-per-view. Because that's the only explanation that I have. Because not much effort. I mean, Raw was just horrible on Monday night. Smackdown, I'll get into my overall view of how I thought the show was, but it just did not hit the barometer that I'm used to seeing from WWE Smackdown. We're gonna get into this review. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. So, hopping right on into it, Charlotte Flair came down. You can see my reaction to that. A promo from Charlotte Flair. Got it listed on the YouTube channel under the reactions tab at OMGCoreyB. So Charlotte came down, she talked about the beating that she gave Ronda Rousey, how she enjoyed every second of it. And she talked about how she did it for Becky Lynch, said that Becky Lynch would have wanted that beating. So that brought down Paige here. She came down, and I thought that we were on the way to a suspension of Charlotte Flair. But as it would turn out, Paige would only fine her $100,000 for beating up multiple referees? And that brought down the Iconics. Soon as the Iconics came down, I said, well, here we go. Here comes the Iconics to take a beatdown, and the beatdown was on. But before I get to that, the segment overall with Charlotte and Paige, I gotta say that, okay, Charlotte's explanation, I can get with that, and her mocking of Ronda Rousey, I can get with that as well, but Paige is fine. I mean, like, I've seen more fake fines for that for hitting one referee. But besides that point, I got an overriding point on Charlotte Flair. I'm about to get into it. Charlotte Flair, we had Charlotte Flair versus Billie Kay, and this was a glorified squash match. I mean, Billie Kay got in a little bit of offense here and there, but I didn't find this match interesting at all. Charlotte got the natural selection and the win. Not an interesting match whatsoever. Just another case of the Iconics being destroyed. And right as we were ending that match, Charlotte called out Peyton Royce, and we had Charlotte versus Peyton Royce. And we had another match that wasn't interesting whatsoever. Not a lot of action in this match. Peyton Royce didn't get a lot of action in. And the match would end as Billie Kay would run in for the disqualification. Look, man, can we find something better to do with the Iconics? They're very talented in the ring. They have the gimmick outside of the ring. I find it to be, decent enough. It's not setting the world ablaze, but it's decent enough to where they could be doing something meaningful instead of getting beat down every week. I mean, man, it seems like every week the Iconics are taking a beat down, and I'm just wanting to see something else out here, man. And if you're having trouble hearing me, it's because there's a lot of stuff going outside of my house right now. Grass cutting, a lot of things going on. But Iconics taking a beat down was just a mess start to the show. So they attacked post-match. Charlotte gave them a beatdown for their troubles. They both got speared and they both got thrown over the announce table. Well, Billie Kay at the least got thrown over the announce table. And as I see right here with Charlotte, they're trying to turn Charlotte into Becky Lynch, and that's just my opinion, and it's not gonna work. Look, the crowd is cheering her now, but when Becky Lynch comes back, this isn't gonna work. That's just my opinion. I'm gonna get more into that if I'm able to do a podcast this week with the Thanksgiving week coming up. So after that, we got Miz TV, and the special guest was Shane McMahon. This involved a lot of butt kissing from the Miz, talking about Shane's performance at SummerSlam, talking about how he was the best in the world, and he talked about how we went coast to coast, and Shane was like, no, I went coast to coast. And this would go on as The Miz wanted Shane McMahon to be his tag team partner. And Shane McMahon wasn't having it, so The Miz brought down some jobbers, the Bryan brothers, to put on an exhibition with Shane McMahon. So we had that exhibition, And wouldn't you know it, the Bryan brothers picked up a victory over the Miz. And what was a match that went on for about a minute? The Jobbers won. And I gotta say that the match was, I mean, if you wanted something funny to happen, then I guess this was for you. Something funny did happen, but not for me, really. You got The Miz in this storyline with Shane McMahon. I'm not very interested at all in this storyline. I feel like The Miz should be towards the title. And, yeah, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll see The Miz in the title hunt, excuse me, so at some time moving forward after we get this Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles stuff settled out. Maybe we'll see him in the championship hunt moving forward, but as it pertains right now, I'm just not interested whatsoever in this Shane McMahon stuff. The Jobbers got a win over The Miz. I mean, they couldn't get the win over Shane, for goodness sake. But it is what it is. Shane and Miz. This could be a build towards a match with Shane and Miz. We'll see how it all goes out. I'm not interested in that whatsoever as well. So, we had the New Day. They were getting ready for the Thanksgiving fight. Xavier Woods had on a 6-1 shirt. I found that pretty funny. They were interrupted by the Bar and the Big Show, and we had ourselves a match. And this was every bit of the same holiday Thanksgiving match that we see nearly every year. Like, nothing different happened. The match wasn't groundbreaking. I didn't find the match very interesting at all. The only thing that's happened in this match that I found pretty funny was Big E stuffing the turkey with his hand. I found that to be pretty funny. And he nailed Sheamus over the head with it and picked up the win. A stuffed turkey punch, picking up the win. Afterward, the New Day would nail Cesaro with what was about 100 pies. And Cesaro would just fall flat on his back in the ring. So, what the tag team champions was just treated very badly as it pertains to Raw and SmackDown. It's like, man, you see what happened to AOP. They took that ridiculous loss, and the Bar gets beat up with the turkey, and they take a loss, and it's like, oh man, can we do something with the tag team champions? Man, goodness sake. I mean, but at least Big E stuffing the turkey, that was a funny visual. At the least, that's all I got on this match. So moving on, we had Asuka and Naomi versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Before the match, we had the WWE Evolution Battle Royal. They cut to that. They showed Mandy Rose eliminating Sonya Deville. And we had some tease tension before the match. And we go to the match, and Asuka and Naomi, I have no clue what they're doing with them. It's just like Asuka and Naomi is just here to dance, pretty much, every single week and do nothing of a note, nothing of a meaning in their matches or around their matches. They're just here to dance every week. And like, those are two very talented ladies, and I feel like they should be doing more with them. And I know I feel like I'm harping on everything on this show, but it just wasn't a typical SmackDown that we're used to seeing that just knocks it out of the park. It just wasn't that type of SmackDown this Tuesday night. So the match itself wasn't very interesting. The only thing of note to come out of this match was the tease tension as Sonya Deville tagged herself in, got a blind attack on Mandy, confused Mandy. Naomi got in a hip attack, and Asuka would lock in the Asuka lock for the win, as Sonya Deville would tap out. We continued the tension with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Looks like we're headed for a split up. We'll see how that goes going forward. So after that, we had Daniel Bryan come down, and before he started talking, I tweeted that, man, this is a pretty big promo for Daniel Bryan. And it was a very big promo. You really have to put this over, and you really have to explain yourself. You really have to explain the heel turn and get the heel turn over with the crowd. So, Daniel Bryan talked. He talked about how he didn't accept failure. He talked about how he was in a hyperbaric chamber before he was cleared to wrestle, spending hours in that hyperbaric chamber every day. It allowed him to focus. He talked about fighting for his dreams, and also he talked about how his dreams fought for him when he low-blowed AJ Styles, and he talked about how fickle the fans were. And you know what? I actually got into this promo. I gotta say, at the beginning of the promo, I was kind of skeptic on it, but as he got into the promo, he started to knock it out of the park. So he talked about, also, I found this pretty weird though. He said that he wanted Survivor Series because he allowed Brock to beat the weakness out of him. He talked about a new man emerged, and I mean, a new man emerged when you turn heel, but that's beside the point. He also talked about a new Daniel Bryan is here, and the Yes Movement is dead. So this promo, like I said at the beginning, it was kind of shaky, but as he explained the promo throughout the promo and throughout the entirety of the promo, I found it to be pretty interesting, and I thought it was a good first start to this heel turn, and he knocked it out of the park. I'm interested to see the dynamic with AJ Styles. I'm interested to see their matches going forward, because I gotta believe that this upcoming match at TLC won't be the last match. I see that there's no way. I think that there's no way that AJ Styles can win that match at TLC. I will see how it goes going forward, and I'm pretty interested. Like I said, in the short term, this is a very good idea. We'll see how it plays out in the long term. So after that, we had Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio. A good old grudge match between the quote-unquote old guys. And we had a pretty decent story in this match. Like Randy Orton going for the mask early on in the match. And I gotta say that this was a decent match. We had a sick RKO when Ray slid to the floor, looked for the sliding splash, and he ran right into an RKO, which was well done by Randy Orton. Another one of his great RKOs that kind of really came out of nowhere. And I enjoyed this match, I gotta say. It wasn't anything great, but it was solid enough to where it kept me interested throughout the entirety of the match. Randy Orton would pick up the win with the RKO back inside the ring as well. He would go on to unmask Rey Mysterio and hold up the mask as we would fade to black. This episode of SmackDown overall, just not the SmackDown that I'm accustomed to. Not the SmackDown that knocks it out of the park on nearly every segment. And while I gotta say that it was an upgrade from Raw, which isn't saying much if I'm being honest, it just wasn't a SmackDown that I was fully invested into throughout the entirety of this show. Let me know what you think about SmackDown, what you think about SmackDown overall, what you thought about Daniel Bryan, whether that's on Twitter at OMGCoreyB or at 2SweetPod or on YouTube at OMGCoreyB. Let me know your thoughts. I am